he's given up at least he's gave up less than 10 sacks in his career as a pass blocker. That's a fact for
And
sure.
I'll
less than that.
I'll piggyback on Will. Zeke, there's not a 3rd and 3 that Zeke has never got in his life. He's always short yardage. He's always good at short yardage.
Maybe. Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast NFL Division Preview of the NFC East. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with us today, huge cavalcade of stars, starting with our academic and athletic consultant, George Acker. George, get ready to talk about Dallas. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm blessed to see all you gentlemen again and blessed to be here.
All right. We've got Captain for Life, Will Cotton. Will, what's going on, sir? Ready to talk NFC East?
I'm ready. Had a rough day on the course, but I'm back here to talk good. So here we are.
And New York Giants aficionado, Mike King. Mike, what's going on, sir? How are we?
I'm waiting for the next episode of Hard Knocks when we get the draft. That's going to be a good one.
All right. So the Odd Coaches Podcast, NFL previews, is for the casual fan. We are just the regular folk who like our teams and want to follow along, and we might make a little money or two or three. So in segment 1, we're going to talk about storyline. Segment 2, we're going to do over-under. And segment 3, we are going to do the predicted order of finish. So let's get to it. We're going to start off with America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. George, is this Dak's final season in Dallas among 100 other people who are not signed the contracts next year? What say you, sir? All in.
This is going to be an interesting year for Dallas. And it is because you have so many people that are under contract. You've got that are getting ready to come off of being under contract in their final years. You have a coach who is hanging by a thread. You got a lot of different moving parts right here. In all this chaos, because they haven't offered Dak the bag, I think this is going to Dak, Micah Parsons is coming up, CeeDee Lamb's coming up. It's going to be a good, I think Dak's going to go out here and play as free as possible. I'm actually looking for this probably to be one of Dallas's better years, even though they did nothing to improve themselves through free agency. Draft was okay, but they didn't. And in hindsight, they really didn't need to do but so much because they have pieces to have a good team and to make a run. So I see Dak having another season being, like he was last year, close to second. Well, he came in second MVP race again.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
See, and then it'll be interesting to see if, and I think Dak will probably give the Cowboys the finger and walk off, go in free agents and get that bag. Because I'm telling you, Vegas and the Saints, and I can go through a list of teams that would gladly pay him a bag to come play for him.
Las Vegas.
Well, for as much as we sit here and talk about, Dak can't do this and Dak can't do that, you're hard pressed to find name six quarterbacks you want better than Dak. You come in, or 5, and you come in and you sit and you talk about your man up in Buffalo. Why doesn't he get the same criticism that Dak does? Because he hasn't won a damn thing and he loses every big game too. And Dak's stats are better than his. So we can sit there and talk all we want. It's going to be, I think with Dallas, it's going to be, there's a lot of cats this year that are at the end of their contract. The Joneses have made no attempts to sign anybody. So everybody's going to play for themselves because they try and get that bag next year. So I'm actually looking for a pretty good season from the Cowboys.
So, Will, I'm thinking about Dallas, and I'm thinking about CM Punk not having his contract and wrestling John Cena. That's where I am with this. Dak is making about $40 million per season. Is this all or nothing for the Cowboys in your eyes, Will? What do you got?
Oh no, I mean, everyone's been kind of quiet. Dak hasn't really said anything, which is great. I mean, he hasn't come out, he hasn't been upset. All he's doing is business as usual, which is great for the Cowboys because he could go out and say all kinds of crazy things and didn't get paid. Like George said, he is one of the better quarterbacks you can get in the NFL. He's easily the best quarterback in the NFC East right now. I mean, he's way better than Jalen Hurts. I don't even know why that's like a combination. That's even a thing right now. And the thing is, even if they pay Dak, that they pay Dak this year, the season starts, they pay him. In 2 years, he won't be the most expensive quarterback. It's going to be a very, the contract will be eatable. They're like, oh well, we got that for a deal, as good as he's playing. And if they were to let him go, I mean, where do you go from there? I mean, are you rebuilding again? I mean, I don't see a kid in the college right now that you can pull in and say, okay, we're ready to win. I think the biggest thing, and also the I guess the benefit for them is they didn't get a running back, which could help because if you have a running back if you have two or three running backs, that works better for the balance of the team.
Didn't they bring Zeke back?
They brought Zeke back.
He's one, and people quietly are not noticing. He is one of the best pass blocking running backs in the NFL. I think he's given away maybe 2 or 3 sacks in his career when he picks up the blitz. So
is that where we are, Will? Are
we
making up stats for Zeke? Come
no,
on.
look it up. Look it up. Mike King is the man. He's given up at least. He's gave up less than 10 sacks in his career as a pass blocker. That's a fact for sure.
And I'll
less than that.
I'll piggyback on Will. Zeke, there's not a 3rd and 3 that Zeke has never got in his life. He's always short yardage. He's always good at short yardage. So yeah. I mean, you're not gonna get those 25-yard bust out runs anymore, but he's not gonna be stopped on any short yardage plays they have. So
right. And I think the biggest thing is also since Dak hasn't signed, that could also be a little thing for the Dolphins. Because if I'm the Dolphins and I'm like, man, if I got to give somebody $200, $300 million, is it going to be Tua or is it going to be Dak? And in my opinion, that's why I'm giving the money to Dak. So that could be playing in another teams, especially with other quarters making money. So we'll see. But I think they'll be good. And to be honest with you, they should be good this season. I think that to be honest with you, I expect to come out the NFC. I think they're one of the best teams in the NFC, to be honest.
Mike King, what say you about the Dallas Cowboys, sir?
Dak's 31, next year he's 32. So that's when it comes to giving. I'm looking at the contracts right now. Of the guys making $40 million or more, he's the oldest besides Kirk Cousins, who's been stealing money since he made it legal, whatever that was, like 13 years ago. And Matt Stafford. Everybody else is in their 20s, or maybe Jared Goff's 30, but Dak's going to be 32. So if you're going to give big money, that would be the concern. I'm looking at the salaries. The difference between what the rookie quarterback makes and what the second contract, it's just such a game changer. It's $40 million. So when Dak signed 40, that was the big money. Then Daniel Jones got 40 recently. That was like, I think 7th. It's already 15th. So these contracts just keep going higher and higher and higher. And a rookie quarterback's only making the number one pick, 9.8. And other quarterbacks are making 55. So I feel like they got to raise the rookie contract because I'm looking at this going, why not build a team like the 49ers? And I could put anybody quarterback. And when the 4 years is up, see ya. We'll trade you and move on to the next guy. Because I've got $40-something million. I could have you, or I could have the best wide receiver, the best left tackle. I'd rather have those. The money doesn't add up for me for any of these guys except for a Lamar Jackson or a Mahomes. Everybody else that's making 50-something, no way.
But King, this is what I'm gonna say to you. You can do. San Francisco went with that plan. Have San Francisco won a Super Bowl?
Not yet.
All right then.
It either has the Bengals, the Jaguars, the Lions, the Chargers, the Ravens with Lamar.
All right, we're going to refocus.
They're always
George,
there.
I'm going to stay with you. Philadelphia Eagles. Can they fix their locker room because they've got some issues? What are you thinking about the Eagles?
I'm really worried. they had problems. That the locker room became a situation last year. This year, over the offseason, you've heard, rumblings about some people being unhappy. Brown's been talking. You've heard stuff talk about Jalen Hurts. You heard stuff about the coach. If I'm an Eagles fan, I'm concerned, man, because I don't know what I'm gonna get. You had another year again where you had a number of key position players on the defensive end leave. The ones that brought in last year didn't step up because you had for a while there with that 7-game stretch where they couldn't beat anybody. I don't think they could stop anybody running the football. And it's become a real issue over there. They drafted well, but again, they got defensive linemen again. I don't think they got a cornerback. So there's a couple, they have a lot of question marks. This is a question mark year for them. And it's either that ship is either going to float and they're going to be up there with the Cowboys fighting for who wins the division, or they're going to be mediocre at best. So because that 7-game run at the end of the season last year, they were getting beat by teams that they shouldn't even. Hell, Alabama could have beat them last year as bad as
Arizona they whooped them bad.
Yeah,
that was a bad loss for them too.
Yeah, they got whooped by teams that shouldn't even been in the same parking lot with them. So it's that has not been fixed. And I think it really comes down their coach. I think it comes down to him, man. I think he's lost the locker room. So we're going to see what happens.
All right, Cotton Man. Is Jalen Hurts good, or is he change him at halftime situation? What you got?
Or if you can find my tweets from back when he was in college, I used to be the biggest Jalen Hurts hater. The biggest. I think he was such a bum. Now, don't get me wrong. He's definitely grew up and became a capable quarterback. And he had the MVP type season. But when things kind of, get normalized, he's just a good quarterback. He's not going to move the needle. When you have the brotherly shove or the tush push or whatever they had. I mean, how many of those touchdowns are off of him that kind of, But I think when you lose guys like Jason Kelce and you lose guys like Fletcher Cox, I mean, those are leaders in the locker room. And that's a team that lacks the discipline in the locker room. So, I mean, you have two guys who are both all pros, who are both leaders, who both left the same year.
All the famous.
Yep, exactly. So it's going to be different, and somebody's going to have to step up and be the leader. I don't see it, unless Jalen Hurts just becomes this guy. You brought in Saquon. I mean, that he never really seemed like a leadership guy, very quiet. Kind of do like example kind of guy, not rah kind of guy. I'm gonna see when the season gets tough. Let's see what happens. I mean, they have a lot of talent on the offensive side. They tried to rebuild the defensive side to make things, but I feel like they don't really like each other. I mean, guys just don't like each other, and that's going to show in the season. I think between the difference between the Cowboys and the Eagles is that the Cowboys actually like each other in the actual locker room. I think they're actually buddies, like they hang out. I think the Eagles, they just like, we play together, we work together, but all right, brother, I'll see you next week. But we'll see. But I don't think they're going to be the same team that we've seen the last couple of years because they just can't recover from that leadership that they lost.
All right, so Mike, they got a new running back, one you're very familiar with. Does Saquon bring stability to their offense? What do you think about the Eagles this year?
Depends on if his knee brings stability to itself. That's the question with Saquon. When Saquon's healthy, he's great. Saquon's healthy, he's very good. He'll have a better offensive line. He did a lot of negative 2-yard dancing, but on the Eagles, he might not have to. He might have holes. It's a lot easier to run when you're not getting hit. They upgraded the defense. I think they went corner the first 2 picks. They got the new Jason Sehorn from Iowa, so that's exciting. But as far as like they hate each other stuff, they win a couple games, that goes away very quickly. That's a story when you're losing. Their schedule they got the Packers at home. They go Falcons at home, Saints, Bucks, Browns are good, but they're at home. Every tough game is at home. Then they go Giants. So they don't really play a real tough game until the Bengals on the road October 27th. By then they could have 2, 4, 6. They could be 5-1. So you're not going to hear about any locker room issues when you're 5-1. So that kind of stuff. I feel like storylines when things are going bad, and all it takes is a winning streak, and all that goes away.
Okay, Mike, we're going to stay with you. New York Giants, Daniel Jones. There's your question, because that's the question on everybody's tongue with the Giants. How do you think they're going to do this year?
Got no idea. Not even a little bit.
That Abney type.
So 4 years, 160 million. They can get out of it after this year with very little penalty. But if he has a good year, 4 years, 160 million is, in this NFL, a bargain. So if he's good enough to get you into the playoffs this year, you keep him, because for $40 million, you can't do better. Dak will get a contract like we're saying before for probably 50, around that. So you're not getting anything better for 40 that you have if he can, show it. They try to address the offensive line. They really like Luminor, who they got from the Raiders. They like Runyon from the Packers, although I'm just basing things on analytics. His PFF score is very bad, so I don't see why they like him so much, but we'll see. What I'm excited about is Neighbors. For me, this year is just, how good is he? Is he as good as they say? If so, I'm going to watch every week to see it. Daniel Jones, if they're 9-8, 10-7, sneaking through the playoffs, I'd rather keep him for 40 than, you're not getting a guy in the first round, and I'm not paying someone 50-something who's not that much better potentially, or who's out there. So yeah, I think a lot of it's going to come down to that. But as far as like the offense itself, the running back's not as good, but he's got better guys to throw the ball to. In theory, a better offensive line. Tight end's pretty bad, but that's about it. Like there's talent there. Wan'Dale Robinson gets separation. Jalen Hyatt can fly. And then Neighbors is going to draw attention. They haven't had a receiver that could draw attention since OBJ 10 years ago.
Okay. George, are you buying what King's selling? Can the Giants make some noise? What do you think?
I can't get behind any team with a quarterback that I put in the same boat as Baker Mayfield. That's where I got him. That's how I feel about him. I don't think he's I don't think he's what's needed to get over the hump. I don't even think he's what's needed to get it going. So I without Saquon there as his release point, they're gonna have a rough season. To me, they're just gonna have a rough season. I like their defensive front. They're young, they're studs. And Giants are always good when they got a good defensive front. But offensively, they have nothing to hang their hat on right now. They got some receivers, but they got to get the ball to them, and I'm not convinced they can get the ball to them from either the line or from Daniel Jones. And the problem, a lot of it, I'm not going to put on Daniel Jones. A lot of it is carryover. And when I mean carryover, a couple of years ago, Derek Carr got drafted by Houston. Derek Carr got beat up so bad because there was no line, he got gunshot. I started, just as me personally, with my own eye, I started seeing a lot of that in Daniel Jones the past couple of years, because he's been getting beat up so bad. And once quarterbacks get gunshot, they never quite get back to where they're supposed to be, and because they start seeing shadows. And that's where I am with Daniel Jones right now. I think he's just gonna, he'll keep seeing shadows. So they won't ever quite get it together. So
I think he's too scared to throw an interception. He had too many turnovers the first year, and he's too scared to throw an interception, so he doesn't go for the big pass. I think that's definitely true.
All right, Cotton Man, any thoughts on the Giants before we let you close this out?
It's just, you know, my father is a Giants fan, so I'll always have those talks back and forth. They've never been like a bad team. They've had bad records and they've had less wins and you know than losses, but they're a pretty good team, you know, pretty solid week to week. You know, they have a good defense. I mean, the defense is probably where they're gonna have to hold their hat, and that's what they're gonna have to be their staple this year. And they really have to figure out who they want to be. I mean, who do you want to be? You know, you're not going to be this gunslinging quarterback with all these receivers and everybody making all these, you know, these moves. But it's going to be, you know, are we going to just inch up the field, kick a field goal, defend, you know, field position battle kind of thing? I don't think they're there yet. I don't think Daniel Jones is the guy yet, but I think they have some pieces where in a couple, 2, 3 years, 4 years, if they grab the right people, the right quarterback, they're gonna be right in the mix in the NFC East. But you know, I wouldn't risk the future for trying to just go out there doing now. Now, don't get me wrong. If it happens that they're out there and they win 7 games out, 6 out of 1, 6 out of 1, bet. Great. Let's move to the playoffs, or let's do what they got to do. But you know, they're going to be a team that's guys are going to be playing for spots, guys are going to be playing for positions, guys who are going to be solidify the foundation of who they're going to be in the future. Kind of like Washington. I mean, they're just going to be competing. You're going to have some good games, and they'll be playing tough. There no be any no like kind of like easy wins against the Giants this year, but I don't think they're good enough to win enough games to get to the playoffs this year.
All right. And then finally, the Washington Commanders. The national media are on fire about the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels. You can't turn on ESPN, Fox, FS, this, that, and the other without somebody being excited about Jaden Daniels. Are the Commanders sneaky good this year? What say you?
I don't think they'll be sneaky good. I think they'll be good enough. I don't think they're going to surprise nobody. Again, they don't have an offensive line yet. They still have some guys they want to get in there. I mean, you know, they're rebuilding too. You know, I think the Giants are maybe a step ahead, or maybe whatever their path is right now, but they're similar in terms of what they're looking. They're trying to see what their quarterback is, what they can do it. Obviously, a little less inexpensive for Washington, but it also helps that it's not the most popular thing going on in Washington right now. You know, there's a lot of things going on, if you know what I mean. So they're laying low right now, even on the local news. I mean, you might get a glimpse, but you're talking about other things, and we're not one of those podcasts, so we ain't gonna talk about them other things. But yeah, I like the kid. I mean, the biggest thing that they say is he's always working hard. He's always staying late on practices. He's showing up early. The biggest thing for them is keep him healthy, man. They're not going to be that team this year. They're not, you know, but the best thing they can do is keep him healthy so that next year he can build. You can get some good draft picks and let him make the improvements of staying healthy. You know, and that's all you have to do. You know, if you get some wins, great. But if you don't, you know, I mean, just know that he's healthy and that the future is in good hands with a different owner, different coaches, different GMs, different quarterback. You know, this ain't going to be the same, you know, Commanders team that you've seen in the past. So you need a real plan. You know, unless this kid just lights the earth on fire. I think just keep him healthy and keep progressing.
All right, Mike Bobian's not here. He's enjoying his vacation, so he's high on Jaden Daniels. What about you?
So quarterback's so hard to figure out until they get to the league. But I watched a lot of Malik Neighbors highlights, and he was waiting for a lot of passes. A lot of his touchdown passes, it's him just running, and he turns around, he's just kind of like, come on. Like, there's a lot of that. I kept seeing that. I was like, ooh. Could he be great? Of course he can. You know, who knows? If it was easy to draft quarterback, we wouldn't be looking at that list going, how come 8 of the guys making 50 million stink? But it's not. So who knows what'll happen when he gets to the NFL. But the highlights for me, when I was looking at these touchdowns, they weren't like, oh, throwing that pass in between 4 guys. It was, that guy's wide open, and he's just waiting, and he's still wide open. Commanders took the Giants' offensive line coach. The Giants offensive line, I think, was 31st in the league to the Commanders. Guy was terrible. Pretty sure that's the guy that Dable started a fight with during the season. I think Dable beat him up. That's who the Commanders took, the offensive line coach. Their left tackle graded out terribly. And again, what does a quarterback need? It needs a left tackle. So the pieces, they've got receivers, but that's a rough spot for a quarterback to come in with maybe the worst offensive line coach in the league who you decided to take, and a bad offensive line from the year before. So he's going to be running for his life this year. So I don't even think it's fair to judge him this year. It's going to take 2 years before you could give Jaden Daniels a fair assessment.
All right, George, you were not around for my hate of Cliff Kingsbury, but I am not a fan of a guy failing up the ladder. So what do you think about the Washington Commanders this year? I'll leave the rest of it alone. I'm sure I will besmirch Cliff Kingsbury's name enough this year.
I'm concerned. I like the kid. I like Jaden Daniels. I like him. I think he could be a real decent quarterback. My issue is the same issue I had when he was coming out of college. His size. He is not a big framed guy. And with that offensive line that's like a leaky dam, that is just a bad situation waiting to happen. I can see Micah Parsons coming off now and crushing him. I don't want to see another RG3 situation happen in Washington with this kid. So my hope is, I got my fingers crossed that they're smart with this kid, that, they put him wrap him in bubble wrap or something and put him on the sidelines or something and keep him out of harm's way, because this year is not the year for them to run through it, because that offensive line, which they should have tried to address the issues with, that they didn't do a real good job of addressing. I'm hoping that they get that whole situation figured out. Like Mike said, the offensive line coach sucks. They already got holes in the offensive line. It is, I don't want to see that kid. I don't want to see that kid get hurt, because I think he can be good in the right situation, but the right situation starts with having him protected, i.e., look at Carolina last year, because Carolina last year, you didn't get to see what he was about at all, because Carolina's offensive line, it was that bad, and Washington's is not looking that much better. So that's where the problem comes in. And Will kept talking about keep them healthy. Yeah, Will, you better do something. Get them a flap jacket, bulletproof vest, whatever else you need to get, because if they roll them out, I don't want them. They roll them out to the game to start to play. I don't want them to roll him back into the locker room for X-rays. That's what I'm hoping.
All
yeah,
right.
but look at your boy in Carolina. I mean, they have a terrible offensive line.
Yeah,
he's smaller than Jaden Daniels, and he lasted the whole season. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not as worried. I'm not worried as I am like what you're saying. I mean, that's a concern. But if he made it the whole season, and that team was way worse than I expected. The Panthers are way worse than the Commanders are going to be this year. They're not going to be like a 2-14 kind of team.
He didn't finish like 3 games. And see,
but that's because they were like 1-11, 1-12.
But what I'm saying to you, he didn't finish like 3 games because of getting hit so much. And he's not the runner. Jaden Daniels is like RG3, where he likes to take off and run.
But they shut him down. It's not like he wasn't unable to play. They were losing. And they were like, look.
No, I'm saying I'm saying
like, my brother, I love you. I know you want to be out here, but give me the helmet. Give me the helmet, give me the football, and sit down and hey, don't get hurt. Yeah. But he played, and he was never in the he was never on the health list. He was never on the questionable list.
Yeah, he missed the game. He got concussed and missed the game.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah. And he came back the next week.
Yeah,
it's football, man. It's football. And he played. And he played over in LSU in the SEC. So he has a little gaming in him.
He had Alabama's offensive line. He didn't get hit.
Hey, but I'm not. But I have the same concerns you have. But I'm not gonna show your talents. Show your talent. Now it's the offensive coordinator to highlight what's his best things, and not to stay away from staying in the pocket, getting hit. That is
And the
only thing.
coordinator
Now,
has
your coordinator-
now, if
Your
you're
coordinator is
saying like,
Chuckum and Duckum Kingsbury from Texas
How you
Tech.
get
now that's fair. Now that's fair. If you're saying that Cliff Kingsbury is going to be the guy that's going to set up Jaden Daniels, I'd be like, well, yeah, Kyler Murray. I don't know. Maybe it
Kyler
turns out a
Murray
little
got
bit,
beat.
but
Kyler Murray got beat up for
Kyler
we're
Murray
gonna
up for a big
stop
contract.
because I'm gonna besmirch Cliff Kingsbury and his failing up the ladder. So in segment 2, oh no, anyway, segment 2, we're gonna talk over-unders and things strictly for entertainment purposes only. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
Caleb Williams is small too.
This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful antidotes, Finding the Balance is a must-read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasaveproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 2. Let's go over under. George, I'm going to start with you. Philadelphia, over under 10.5. Roster rank is 3. What say you?
I'm gonna say under because I don't think they fixed the locker room problem.
Okay.
And the locker room problem, and when I say the locker room problem, also extends to the coach who's supposed to have it all together. So I got under.
Okay. Will, over under 10.5. Roster rank 3. What say you about the Eagles?
I like what Mike King and George says about this. I think Mike King says they're going to get like 5 really easy wins in the beginning.
Right away.
But then we get cold and we get in the middle of the season. And like George says, I don't know if they're going to have the leadership to get them to them like 11, 12, 13 games. So I think 10 for me, under.
Okay. Mike, what about you with the Eagles, sir?
If I was putting money on over-unders, this would be one of the ones I'd circle for an over. Eagles have been winning a bunch of games every year. You look at that offense, they got 2 receivers that are better than every team, but maybe like 1 or 2. They've got Saquon Barkley if he's healthy. They got a top 10-ish quarterback in that like lower half of the top 10. The offensive line's still good even without Kelsey, and the defense is good. So yeah, I'm taking the over.
Okay.
I don't like it.
George, I'm going to you. Dallas, over under 10.5. Roster rank is 9. What say you about your Cowboys?
I'm gonna go over. I'll go over. They'll get 11. They'll get 11 or 12. I think they'll find a way. That late in the season, they're gonna come up and they'll get a couple more. So I'll go over.
All right, Will, Dallas, over under 10.5. What say you, sir?
Oh yeah, I like them. I like the over. It's going to be definitely a tough schedule. I mean, up front you're starting with the Browns, and then you got the Ravens. But at least they're at home. But there are some spots where they can get some wins and they get some win runs, some streaks going. And the end of the season, the last 6 games are Giants, Bengals, Panthers, Bucks, Eagles, Commanders, all games that they could easily win, no problem. Even the Eagles game.
They suck me in every year, Will. Are you doing the same thing?
They sized you last year. So you hit it so you're only as good as you are your last season, right? So you're good. Give me 11.
They hit it last year. They hit it.
He took the under.
I took the Eagles last year.
Oh, you
took the Eagles last.
Give me the over for the.
And the Eagles killed you. Eagles killed you in them last 7 weeks. They killed you.
All right, it's Dallas in those last couple of weeks
for the Cowboys
with the point spread. Mike, what do you think about Dallas?
And I think this is a really good 10-11. So 10.5 is tough. I'm I'll be contrarian. I'll go under. I think 10 wins, playoff team.
All right, Mike, I'm staying with you. The New York Football Giants over under 6.5, roster rank 31 out of 32 teams. What do you say, sir?
I mean, I think it all comes down to the first game of the season, because if you can't beat the Vikings at home, you're not going to do it. But if you beat the Vikings at home, the Giants, no matter how bad they are, Commanders are 2 wins. The Giants have owned that team. The Commanders can beat the Eagles. They can beat the Cowboys. They can't beat the Giants. It doesn't make sense. Daniel Jones, if he only played the Commanders, he'd be Tom Brady. So I got 3 wins there. Can I find 4 more? Can you win 4 of the Seahawks, the Steelers, the Panthers, the Bucks, the Saints, the Falcons, the Colts? There's a lot of bad teams there. I'm going to say 7 wins, 7 and 10. Give me the over.
Okay. George, your turn, sir.
What is it? What's the line?
6.5, sir. Roster rank 31.
All right, and I'll give them 2. I'll give them 2 wins at the Commanders. I see the Vikings, Commanders.
There's a lot of 50-50s there.
Commanders,
49, 51s.
Panthers. I can't give them. I can't find no. I mean, maybe
Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau.
I can't. Maybe the Saints. I'm looking. Maybe the Saints and maybe the Colts, but
not Cowboys. Can't beat them.
It doesn't get me there. So no, I'm going under.
Okay.
I can't get
All
there.
right. You gave a good effort. Will, what say you? Over under 6.5 for the Giants.
Give me the under slightly. They're gonna get. I almost said slightly. 6.5. Yeah, those I see 4. 2 Commanders, Saints,
You keep
Minnesota.
disrespecting the Commanders in the national media. It's all over.
You got to be real, though. You got to be real. I'm a realist. Give me the under, man. Give me the under. I think they're going to find nothing to play for later in the season, and they're just going to be out there doing their thing. But they're going to play some teams that want to make to the playoffs. You're going to run into a lot of those teams, especially the NFC South, who can make it to the playoffs if they get some wins. So they're going to be gunning for the Giants. And the Giants own the Commanders the last, 3 years anyway. So if the Commanders get a win, forget that. Forget that 6.5 is coming. It's going to be under. Give me the under, though. Just can talk trash to my king.
Speaking of the Commanders, we'll stay with you. Their over-under is also 6.5. Their roster rank is 27. But again, the national media all over these guys. What say you, sir? Over under 6.5 for the Commanders.
I mean, the easy answer is the under, right? That's easy. But this season, if you look at the schedule, it's very similar to RG3's season. You play the NFC South, you start with the NFC South, and then you go for the rest. It's not crazy to say they win 7 games. I'm not saying they're going to light the world on fire, but I'm going to be optimistic. Give me the over so I can just be like, I told y'all.
Okay, George, over under 6.5, sir.
I'm going to let you tell me that you told me so, because I'm going under. I'm looking. I
hope. Better draft pick. Trust me.
I hope.
Win-win for us.
Look, dog, I hope you can tell me I told you so. But I'm looking here and, yeah. Because, the Bears is a coin flip. I give them the leeway with the Panthers. Steelers are a coin flip. Titans, okay, I'll say they'll beat the Titans. And then all the rest of them are either Saints might be a coin flip, but then after that and both Giants games are coin flips. So
but everything outside of the Falcons, everything in the NFC South is a coin flip. As opposed to saying, man, you ain't got it. So there are.
I thought the NFC
options
South was looking at the Giants and going, "Oh, that's winnable." They're not for the Commanders. They're like, "Oh no, the Commanders."
Everybody looking at everybody, they're bum. I'm sure the Giants are looking at the Falcons, and the Falcons look at the Giants. Look at these bums over there.
Well,
But, these are games that they can win.
Well,
these are games they can win.
Well,
so
I'm looking at it as no under.
Mike King, bring levity, and remember Bobian's listening.
So the Commanders drafted a McCaffrey brother who plays the correct position, just like the dad, Ed McCaffrey, wide receiver. I remember being in second grade, I think, doing an art project in class, and I had Ed McCaffrey catching a touchdown when he was a Giant. So I like that. That's about it, because I'm looking at this team, this lineup. They got good. Allen and Payne are both good. Boy, Terry McLaurin, he's pretty good, although
Brian likes him.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And Dotson's pretty good.
We mean kind of good. The Giants would love to have him.
Who, McLaurin?
Yeah,
no, because our corner after each game we beat you this year, he was like, "What do we say? Number 17, did he play?" That was his thing after the game. Did he play?
Fans, when we get back, we're going to do predicted order of finish, and we're also going to see if there's a Super Bowl team coming out of NFC East. We'll be right back on the Yacht Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Safe Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Safe Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit ckasafeproject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Safe Project today. Welcome back to the Yacht Coaches Podcast in segment 3. Let's go predicted order of finish. Will Cotton, who do you have in predicted order of finish for the NFC East?
I got the Cowboys winning the division. I got the Eagles right behind them. The Giants can kiss my ass and be last because the third are going to be the Commanders, and the Giants are going to be last. I don't care what I say.
I was waiting for the personal issues to come out. I was waiting for
Mike King, your projected order of finish.
I mean, if the Giants are worse than the Commanders, we're getting whichever quarterback we want.
Shador said.
If Deion will allow it, we're getting his son, or we'll get the kid from Georgia. That would be great. But no, unfortunately, we're going to finish ahead of the Commanders like always. So it'll be Eagles win the division, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders.
All right, George, your projected order of finish.
Oh, I'm enjoying this fight at the bottom of the NFC East right now. Oh, I got the Cowboys, the Eagles, and we go a coin flip. I got Giants and then rest. I ain't
gonna do it, you man. See, you're gonna get all the deals. See, if we beat them, then you get the deals in Maryland. That's how then now you both of us.
All right, George, I'm gonna stay with you.
2 weeks for one.
How many playoff teams are coming out of NFC East, sir?
One. I'll say 2, and I'm gonna say 2 because I feel like the Eagles can get to 10 wins. And the Eagles will, and the rest of the the NFC is so top heavy that I think the Eagles will get in.
All right, Will, your playoff teams from the NFC East.
Realistically, there's 2, Dallas and Philly.
Okay, Mike, same thing.
I don't know, because I'm looking at the NFC North's a lot better. So Lions, Packers could both be in. NFC South, I think, is still garbage. Just have one. And then the NFC West,
They could have 2.
Seahawks,
Everybody's talking about LA and they're talking about San Fran.
NFC West will get 2. So if that's 1, 2. So yeah, I guess that'll leave 2. So yeah, Eagles, Cowboys in, Giants, Commanders fighting for that. Well, we'll be going quarterback if we're that bad, and you can take anything because that roster's terrible.
Yes. All right. So, Mike, I'm going to stay with you. Is there a Super Bowl team coming out of NFC East?
I think Eagles have a shot, but it's still the 49ers on top of the NFC for me, with the Lions as a question mark. Can they take a step?
Okay. Will, any Super Bowl team coming out of NFC East?
It's crazy. As a Commanders fan, I could see the Cowboys making it to the Super Bowl. They could make it. Now, winning is up to God. That's not I can't make that. But I could see them making to the big dance.
George, we've been having this conversation a long time.
Yeah.
You are a fair Cowboys fan. They have pushed everything to the middle. Contracts up. That there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. And they make it to the Super Bowl.
Can they? Yes. They have the ability to. They have the talent to do it. Will they? Probably not. I'm going to say, if I had to bet against, I'm going to say no, they won't. Green Bay is too good, and I'm going to leave it at that.
All right. Never a bad time to reset Rocky 3. Best one of them all. So, on behalf of our Cavalcade of Stars, I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the iCoaches podcast, and we'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The iCoaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The iCoaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the iCoaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the iCoaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at iCoaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the iCoaches podcast.